From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to Creature Guide Live Daily News. New species of Triassic dinosaur relative identified in Brazil. A new genus and species of silosaur being named Ammonosaurus nesbitti has been discovered by a duo of paleontologists at the Federal University of Santa Maria. Wow, so they gave this silosaur feathers, which is quite interesting. More older reconstructions of this family of reptiles were just simply given scales. And the thing is that considering how closely related they are to dinosaurs, um, now it's being given in many reconstructions feathers, and so it's very likely these animals were warm blooded. Ammonosaurus nisbiti lived in what is now Brazil during the Carnian age of the late Triassic epoch, some 233 million years ago. So this was somewhere around 18 million years after they first evolved. The ancient creature was a member of Silurosauridae, an extinct family of Triassic dinosaur-formed reptiles. Silurosaurids had a fairly long neck and legs, and possibly quadrupedal habits. They are most commonly considered to be a group of non-dinosaur dinosaur forms and the sister group of dinosaurs. They occupied a variety of ecological niches, with early Silurosaurids being meat-eating and later species having adaptations for specialized herbivory. Silurosaurs are a part of the wide Triassic radiation of archosaurs. The Silurosaurus first evolved somewhere around 249 million years ago, right after the Permian mass extinction and at the beginning of the Triassic period, and would eventually go extinct about 2 million years before the Triassic ended. So, somewhere around 203 million years ago. Now, taking a look at the other members of the Silurosauridae lineage of reptiles in the Triassic, this is Asilosaurus, which was somewhere around 8 to 10 feet in length. And this animal was probably feeding on a wide range of different species of insects. There seems to be possibly some member of maybe the Rauisuchian lineage of crocodilomorphs in the background. But these animals, depending on the species, they were probably quite omnivorous and didn't weigh much more than 60 pounds, a little over 28 kilograms. And here is the skeleton of one. You can see how it has a very similar dinosaur like characteristics since it has that middle hole between the eye socket and the nostril and that bottom mandibular fenestra hole, as well as having somewhat of a dinosaur sort of gait. Still quite distinct. And here is another reconstruction of the animal. I mean, that just shows how close related these animals were to the coelophysids of the Triassic, so a distinct group of theropod dinosaurs, or even the plateosauromorphs, and it's just a very good reconstruction. So they might have been a mixture of both bipedal and quadrupedal. There wasn't a whole lot of weight that might have been that would have been focused on the forelimbs, as opposed to certain species of crocodilomorphs. But this is Luwasuchus, which was somewhere around 3 feet in length. Now, it's a bit of a question with this animal because they're looking at the tooth structure of Luwasuchus. It looks very similar to that of certain species of the Spinosaur family of meat-eating theropod dinosaurs, which means that it would have likely have had at least somewhat of a piscivorous or a fish-eating diet. But also looking at the rest of the dental structure, it's likely that it was also feeding on different species of plants as well, and not probably exclusively a fish eater. So let's see. Um, most Silosaurs are characterized by slender limbs and a beak-like projection from the anterior tip of the lower jaw. Whereas these reptiles are present in the fossil record of middle to upper Triassic, no records have been reported from Jurassic or younger layers. So, yeah, that's very true. Silosaurs are particularly interesting because of their close phylogenetic relationships with dinosaurs, with several studies placing silosaurs as the closest evolutionary relatives of dinosaurs. So I think here it's just showing a bit of where they found it in Brazil, in the southern range. Oh, there's the skeleton. Is that all we found? Provenance of Ammonosaurus nesbitti, a surface distribution of the. Okay, it's just showing geological units. Let's see. That's it. We only found those two distinct parts of the thigh bone. This happens quite a bit with many species of true dinosaurs, as well as other different prehistoric reptiles, prehistoric mammals, sharks, where just these distinct slivers of bone and also the distinct morphology of these fragments can create a new species. Wow. So I think it is a huge guess as to what the rest of the animal would have looked like. In their study, the researchers examined two bone fragments, a portion of a right femur and a portion of a left femur of a monosaurus and a spidei. The fossils were found at the site of Pividae between the municipalities of Restinga Seca, Sao João do Placine, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil. A lot of fossils come out of Rio Grande do Sul. See, it is the first time that Silosaurs rivaling in size with early dinosaurs. Oh yeah, during this time, dinosaurs were fairly small. Um, we're looking at animals less than 2 feet in length, whereas these Silosaurs were already much very far past that size limit. With early dinosaurs are recovered from the oldest unequivocal dinosaur bearing beds, challenging the idea that in faunas where silosaurs and unambiguous dinosaurs co-occurred, silosaurs were relatively smaller. Yeah, later on in the Triassic, eventually the true dinosaurs, even the theropods, would eventually supersede them in size. And then you have the herbivores like the plateosauromorphs, which could reach over 5 tons. Allosaurus never reached anywhere near that size. This discovery reinforces the complex scenario regarding the radiation of Panavis during the Triassic. Surely the body plan of early diverging forms being surpassed by late diverging dinosaurs does not fit within the current models anymore. Actually, silosaurs, independent of their phylogenetic position, persisted during most of the Triassic period, with its plesiomorphic body size advancing through the dawn of the dinosaurs, instead of silosaur lineages decrease in body size through time. It is interesting how certain animals during their evolution ended up seeing like a much smaller body plan as they continued to increase in a variety of different species, and others would increase in size. But it would also depend on like what families you're looking at. Now, another earlier relative, so this was before the Ammonosaurus. This is Euparkeria, which is a very close relative of the Archosaur lineage. And this animal is part of the Eupacrupidota lineage of reptiles, and specifically part of the Euparkeridae. I believe there's only one other genus of reptile, but it's a very close relative of the early dinosaurs. And this animal, it's very possible there are certain reconstructions where it's just simply walking on all 4 feet, and then others where it's very possible this animal had the ability to run on 2 legs. It was probably, for the most part, a carnivore, but it existed in South Africa around 249 million years ago at the beginning of the Triassic. And so its ancestors would have survived the Permian mass extinction. And this animal didn't reach much more than 2 feet in length, probably weighed no more than 10 pounds or a little over 4 kilograms. And here is the skull of the individual. It does have very also distinct dinosaur or theropod dinosaur characteristics, despite its not being a true dinosaur. And then you have the Erythrosuchus, which was one of the largest predatory carnivores. And also, this was a bit of a distant relative to other crocodilomorphs during the early Triassic. So this animal existed somewhere around 235 to 242 million years ago, and would have probably fed on most animals that existed on land at the time. And here's the skull of the individual. This predator could reach over 16 feet in length, or a little over, 5 meters, and probably had very little competition from other predators in the region. It also is quite a distant relative from the dinosaurs as well, but it was one of the top predators of the South African Triassic. So Let me know in the comments what your favorite species of prehistoric reptile is. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.